You actually reunite. It's like taking someone you really love and putting your arms around them and
Correct.
bringing them in for a big bear hug and say, I love you. No matter what, I love you. And I think that's
Absolutely. So that is what I'm talking about today when we're saying how to bounce back from that self-reflection.
self-rejection.
Sorry, self-rejection.
through self-reflection.
Self-reflection. To bounce back from that, I think it really only comes down to one thing, and we talk about it a lot, and I harp on about it, and I did, by the way, I responded to my girlfriend's post, and the words that I said was the only thing we need to do is to heal and to love ourselves unconditionally. Every single part of you. It doesn't matter what happened in your past. It doesn't matter who you were in your past. If you don't collect all those people, all those parts of you, and appreciate and love how you've come on that journey, you are never going to be happy. And it's not until I did that I had so much, as I was saying before, compassion for this woman, so much love for her. It's like the prodigal son, in biblical times. Like this woman has returned and has come back, and I love her with all my heart. And it's such a beautiful way to connect with yourself. This is one of the very important things to do in what we're talking about today.
Got a good thing coming, and it's all I need. Everything I wanted is in front of me. It's looking up in the dark, sun is shining over me. I got a good thing coming.
Alrighty, so today we're going to be talking about how to bounce back from self-rejection. Some people haven't even heard the term, Nance, of self-rejection. We all do reject ourselves, but maybe
Absolutely.
You want to tell me why we're doing this topic this morning, because you came in this morning. We had no idea we were going to talk about this, but Nancy had an interesting experience this morning that got her mind ticking, and this is why we brought this to the show.
Yeah, I was scrolling this morning on Facebook, just having a look at a few things on there, and I came across a post from a really good friend of mine. Shout out to Claudia from She's of Love. She does a great podcast herself, and she posted on there a really interesting, I guess it's not her, it's someone that wrote it, it's unknown, about how women brush things off, how we go through so many things through life that we just put to the side, parts of us that maybe we reject and we don't go back to them, and we give a lot to other people, and then when we have criticism for ourselves, we just park it to the side and we don't really pay attention to it. And it got me thinking, it took me straight to one of my own experiences that I had that I thought was really interesting, how we do reject parts of ourselves. It's massive.
You're going to tell us about your experience, or you're going to give us an example?
No, I am. So, look, a year and a half ago, I came across some old wedding photos from my ex-partner, and him and I had a 10-year relationship, and out of that relationship I had a beautiful child, and so this is about 30 or 28 years ago. And as I was flicking through all those photos and looking at this version of myself, I really had a moment where I thought, I don't even really know this person. Who is she? And so I took some of the photos back inside, and I thought, this is a bit of an opportunity for me to see what's going on, because I had a lot of feelings stirring up inside of me.
So I just have to interrupt. The feelings were about yourself. I just want to make that clear. Not feelings about what happened to you.
Yes.
You were looking at the photo of yourself, because I remember you telling me this morning. You were looking at her, and
yeah, absolutely. I was looking at this 22-year-old version of me, and I had no idea who she was. I was so out of touch with her. So I went to the mirror, because I'm a Louise Hay teacher, and so is Janine. We teach the workshop, the 2-day Love Yourself, Heal Your Life workshop. And I thought this is a great opportunity to do some mirror work, which is also a Louise Hay
technique.
Yes, it's a wonderful technique. I went to the mirror, took out the photo of her, and I began to sob uncontrollably.
Wow.
I was in such a state that I had to compose myself after I'd had a really good cry and look back in that mirror, and I apologized to her.
Can I just ask you, what kind of feelings were you feeling? Because the show's called How to Bounce Back from Self-Rejection. So what kind of feelings were you feeling that caused you to cry?
I was really angry with her. I think the first thing I could say was I was so angry with her. I thought, you were so stupid. You were so dumb. You didn't think. You just did things and you didn't think about the repercussions. You just went with the flow. You were such a people pleaser. So a lot of all of that came up. Now,
so is it like a part of you that has regret and
Yes.
wish that you did things differently back then?
Absolutely.
And that was what made you cry?
Yeah.
The hurt for not choosing differently back at that time.
Absolutely. And I
So
think
it just really helps us understand, because the context around that could be for any kind of emotion, like sad, that it's not the same as it was then. No, it was actually the version of you then, from the adult version of yourself today, looking back at that version of yourself at whatever, 22,
yeah.
you were angry because the version of you today would have taken different behaviors than the version of you back at 22 and the behaviors you took then. Am I correct?
Absolutely correct. So I was operating from who I am today, someone who's a lot different, not the same person, but that is still me. So I realized that after I'd gotten all my anger out, I had compassion for her. I thought, what little did she know? How was she feeling? And to go back into those emotions of who you are isn't easy, because you've got all this anger and frustration. It's very hard to see through the fog. But I did. I managed to talk to her like I would talk to a child that I love, like my own children.
So the interesting thing is, to develop self-compassion, we actually have to remember that at that time, that version of ourselves back then, that was our best thinking. I often say this in courses that I run. When we talk about self-forgiveness, we need to always remember that at that age, back then, at that time, in that year, not from today's level of awareness, that time's level of awareness,
Yeah.
you were doing your best. And that's where we need to find compassion for ourselves, because even if you went back in time to the 22-year-old version of you, you'd be operating from a 22-year-old self-awareness or life awareness. But today, you so young, but you have more of an evolved
I love how you say
self-awareness, and it cannot possibly be the same. So we all need to remember for ourselves that no matter what time in our life it was, we were doing our best at that time.
Yeah.
So how did you bond with that version of you? Because you healed it, right?
Yeah, and I just want to stress to you, there are more than just me as I am, or you just as you are in your day and age now. There are so many parts of us.
Millions of versions of ourselves, maybe billions.
Yes, that we don't acknowledge. And it was only because I went down memory lane that I acknowledged that part of me that I probably packed away, because there was boxes and boxes full of stuff, right? So I had packed that part of my life away, put it all up in it, zipped it all up, packed it in the back of the garage, and thought, I'm just not going to think about it now.
Back then.
Yeah. And, you know, if it surfaces, it surfaces. And by the way, when I did come to unpack it, it was so dusty, dirty, hardly, you couldn't pick things up. And that was really symbolic for me, that I had packed it all away, zipped it all up, and forgotten about it.
Symbolic is a perfect word. It's even an analogy for your emotional
100%.
journey through this. And many of us, we have things in our life that are bad outcomes. And maybe like I know for you, it was a long journey before the end of a bad journey. So let's say you're taking a journey. Let's say I'm going from this destination to that destination. That's my journey. Well, some people's journey is like a few weeks, and other people's it's several years. And when it's hard, like several years,
Yeah.
by the time you get to the end of that journey and you take a detour or get off that train, you change your life. You get your crossroads. We are so hurt and upset And a part of us says, why didn't you do this earlier? Or why didn't you talk up when you were being hurt? Or why didn't you defend yourself when people criticize you? Whatever the situation is, it could be anything. And that's what self-rejection is. Like we actually angry with ourselves. Please, can I just say something that just came into my head? I have to say this. Go ahead. I did a video years and years ago. You might even remember, I think you shot the video in the previous office we had in Concord, where I said, all anger is misdirected anger. That was the title. So in an example like your story, where if someone else heard it and they said, well, this is what my relationship was like, or my life at that stage was like, and you could say, well, it went wrong. And let's just say, I'm not saying it's you, Nance, but let's just say someone said, it didn't work, and you blame someone else, and we're angry with someone else. When we really get to the heart of it, we're not angry with someone else. We're angry with ourselves. And we're angry with ourselves for not speaking up, not speaking our truth, not stopping the hurt from prolonging, not doing the right thing by us, not taking extreme self-care. Whatever the measures are to look after ourselves, we didn't take them. And you spoke about people-pleasing.
Absolutely. And the version of me back then, you know, was doing the best that she could. And I realized that as I was looking in the mirror, talking to myself, tears and all, I actually said to her, I forgive you and I love you. And, you know, I embraced that part of me that wasn't perfect, that wasn't healed, that was really, really hurt, you know. And I think once I accepted her and once I embraced her, the crying stopped. It was like an automatic, someone just turned the tap off.
Because you reunited with your version of yourself. You actually reunited. It's like taking someone you really love and putting your arms around them.
Correct.
And bringing them in for a big bear hug and say, I love you. No matter what, I love you. And I think that's
absolutely. So that is what I'm talking about today when we're saying how to bounce back from that self-reflection.
Self-rejection.
Sorry, self-rejection.
through self-reflection.
To bounce back from that, I think it really only comes down to one thing, and we talk about it a lot, and I harp on about it, and I did, by the way, I responded to my girlfriend's post, and the words that I said was the only thing we need to do is to heal and to love ourselves unconditionally. Every single part of you. It doesn't matter what happened in your past. It doesn't matter who you were in your past. If you don't collect all those people, all those parts of you, and appreciate and love how you've come on that journey, you are never going to be happy. And it's not until I did that I had so much, as I was saying before, compassion for this woman, so much love for her. It's like that's like the prodigal son, you know, in biblical times. It's like like this woman has returned and has come back, and I love her with all my heart. And it's such a beautiful way to connect with yourself. This is one of the very important things to do in what we're talking about today. One of the most important is being really authentic, is being really truthful, is being really honest with yourself.
I think that actually comes after. So, you know, you went through the healing.
Yes, that's what is that's what comes after that.
Absolutely. It's like the result. So when you're talking about bouncing back from self-rejection, what you just spoke about is self-compassion. So these are the keys. If you want to make any notes here, how to bounce back from self-rejection. We all have self-rejection. So yours was self-forgiveness, self-compassion. You had to accept that you were doing your best back at that time and apologize to her for criticizing her or rejecting her or being angry with her, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that's how you develop a resilient version of yourself. Because I want to ask you, Nance, if the same kind of thing happened today to you, would you handle it differently?
100%.
Okay, so that's because you are different now, and
yes.
you've cultivated cultivated resilience, and because of your healing, is it also not true that you are 1,000,000 times more authentic?
It's not 100%. It's like 1,000%. I think authenticity is so important. Letting go of what others think and just being yourself, taking off that mask. I was wearing the biggest mask back then. I could not see it, but when I look back at those photos and look at her, even her eyes were different.
So we're going to promise ourselves we're going to do a show for the audience on wearing a mask and how to take that mask off.
Yeah.
And that the word persona in Greek means stage mask, and we have personas. And you had to have one at that time to cope from a 22-year-old version with all that was going on in your life. You had to cope, and you were coping the best you can, and you had a persona for that.
Yeah. When we say cultivating authenticity, I think we cannot say that without talking about being courageous.
But it takes a huge amount of courage to
Yes.
be authentic. Take that mask off.
Yes.
You need tons of courage, or you might need small doses of courage and take many of the little ones off, and then we get to the ones that we got many masks.
Yeah. And you have to be vulnerable. That's another thing too. I cannot, like, the whole topic is really to take the mask off, to be vulnerable, to be authentic. You must be vulnerable. You must be open to, it's okay if I get criticized. It's okay if somebody doesn't like it. I'm not here for that. And I think when you realize we are all different people walking the earth with all different cultures, all different ideals, all different beliefs, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take on those things. The most important thing that you need to be is authentic, because we live, I'm going to say, currently in a world that everybody's wearing a mask.
And with AI, everything's more and more artificial. I have to tell you the story. It's not the same as your story, but it's still a story. I was working in corporate, and I was in client service, and I had a particular client to ask for a particular report, and our business was to sell these reports. And we were a bit slow. The production team had several issues with the software that produced this particular report, and it was going on for about 2 weeks. And normally we get that report out in 2 to 3 days, and the client's got it by day 4 maximum. Here we are 2 weeks later, and the client is no phone calls. I don't know the person. I never met the person. Just I see the email name come in, and this person is getting more and more angry with me, and I can sense the anger through the emails. And eventually, it's almost threatening. And we need this report, and how everything's at stake because we are not doing our job, and I'm incompetent and whatever. Anyway, I'm not production. I'm just client service. I'm begging production to help me. Can you get any faster? What can we do to fix it? Anyway, while this is going on, production respond at some point and say, no, we've got all these other priorities and we can't get your report until I don't know when. So I thought, I can't have this person wait any longer. So the email I wrote said, please, can someone just escalate this to the top priority and get this to the client, can get this report as soon as possible? And I within said something like, the client is leaning on me, or she's very difficult, or she's hard to please, or she's very demanding. I don't know what it was that I said, but I sent the email to the client.
No. Wow.
So this was a day that I went like this. When I realized what I'd done, I was sitting in open plan offices, the seats next to me, there's a partition in front and people in front of me, and all they heard was a 4-letter word coming out my mouth on repeat. And I was going like this with my hand on my head. Okay, non-stop.
And there was no time to take it back, right? Because sometimes you can undo.
No. It had gone, it was sent, and I knew that she got it. And there was nothing I could do. So I opened it again just to injure myself even further and put salt in the wound. I read it again. What I said to her. I said, look, it's not bad enough that I sent it. What did I say? Oh no, and I'm going like this again. 4-letter words are coming out. Now they're even louder. Eventually my friend Marie, some people know Marie and Jean-Claude, she stands up over the partition and she looks over and she goes, she's French, Janine, is everything okay? And everyone's looking up and down, at me. And then I told them, and they said, what did you write? So when I read it to them, they said, oh, please, that's nothing. I've done worse than that. And they're trying to make me feel better. And they're all saying, oh, there's done worse than worse. As they were going along, they said, it's actually not bad. Let the woman know that because she is. Everyone knew about her. By this stage, the whole company knew about this report. Let her know that she's difficult. Let her know that she's leaning on you, that she's pressurizing you, that she's whatever. So I said, no, I could never do that. Anyway, it was too late. It had gone. Luckily, I got the report out. And the funny thing was, it actually worked in my favor, because she replied and said, I want to apologize. I know you've been doing your best. It isn't you that you've been trying to get this report. I was so surprised that I actually got such a response. I thought, This woman's never going to speak to me again. She's going to call my boss, tell me I need to be fired. I don't know what. I'm so worried. But the point I want to make with this story is that when I was going like that, banging my head and saying the 4-letter word, I was swearing at myself, like, how stupid can you be? How beep stupid? Over and over again. Was not the first time in my life. I have been doing that my entire life. And I didn't even realize how many versions of myself had been rejected and compounded into this monster until, Nancy, you and I went to Heal Your Life together and did the Heal Your Life coaching. Yeah. And I ended up with a coaching partner who was asking me some coaching questions, and this blind spot opened up, like a wound that was never exposed, of, it's called self-anger. And he gave me a Heal Your Life process to write a letter to myself, to thank myself for everything. And when I did that in the hotel room that night, you were there, I was crying.
Yeah. I think it's incredibly powerful that you, in that moment, even though you didn't mean to, you were authentic and you were vulnerable without even knowing it. And it turned up in your favor. Like, you think about it, in today's society, if we all did things like that, if we said things in a loving way, in a caring way, but were candid, what kind of relationships would we have? How would the world be in general?
Yes, and I think you've hit a very important point, and you're saying something extremely valuable, because John Maxwell says, always be two things, candid and caring. So when you do need to give feedback, not the way I did it, because mine was an accident, okay? But you would say something like, look, because I really value this relationship, or I really value your business, if it's in work situation, I'd just like to let you know that I am doing my best here, and you just give them the truth. Yeah. I don't appreciate the way, because she was quite abrasive and rude, to be honest.
And some people don't know that they're actually doing that. They run on this because it's on autopilot. And
the problem was that she was actually in fear. She was so rough with me because she was afraid of her boss and not getting her report for her deadline out on time.
Yeah. Very powerful stuff. You can honestly say that if you are watching this and you're not sure for yourself what parts that you've rejected. I mean, I didn't really know until I went ahead and did the 2-day workshop. And I know we harp on about it. But Louise Hay's legacy is phenomenal. I mean, what she's left for everyone, in the sense that the techniques just to heal are lifelong. I could do Heal Your Life for the rest of my life and still at 80 and 90 have something that I've got to heal. So her legacy is really quite amazing. If you feel like, I don't know if that's me, I don't know if I have rejected, or you may feel uneasy in us talking, it'd be really good for you to go back and really do some self-analysis.
Like the reflection.
Yeah, like an understanding of, there could be parts in your life that you're not happy about or you're not proud of, in a sense.
And actually, going back to the earlier point, if there are any parts in your life where you are so angry with someone, like some people are they're so angry with someone. Yeah. I understand that sometimes we are, unfortunately, the recipient of some unnecessary and extremely unfair and unjust behavior. That happens. I'm talking about the majority of cases where we say, I'm so angry with this person. If you go and think about it, the person you're really angry with is yourself, because you never said anything. You never left. You never said no. You said yes instead of no. You people pleased. You were too worried about what people thought of you, so you stayed in a uncomfortable situation. It's you that you're angry with. Yeah. And I think that's what we need to understand. So when we talk about how to bounce back from self-rejection, we made some notes. We spoke about self-compassion. Mm-hmm. We spoke about resilience, especially you. We spoke about cultivating authenticity, and you also said vulnerability.
Yeah.
Gratitude. When I had to write that letter in that Heal Your Life coaching that made me cry that night, it was a thank you letter to myself. So to bounce back, you need to be grateful for yourself for doing your best, even though from today's version of yourself, you look back and say, but that wasn't really the best. It was like there's this wrong with it and that wrong with it.
Yeah.
But when you write the letter, Back then, that was my best thinking. Back then, that was your best thinking. So cultivating gratitude and joy, being happy. If you don't forgive yourself, you actually don't feel worthy of laughing, having fun, having joy in your life. You keep holding back. So another one is, what about trusting your intuition? Tell me about bouncing back from self-rejection. One of the things we need is to trust our intuition, to follow it, and to develop faith in a higher power, faith in God, faith in...
Yeah, I think also listening to your inner voice. Like so many times we reject it. We think, what is this? And is it really my intuition? We get a lot of that. Janine does a class called the Silva Method, SILVA, a 4-day immersion. And we get a lot of people saying, how do I know it's my intuition?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should answer that question.
Well, you could answer because I know you know the answer.
Yes, but you answer it.
But you just need many, many verifiable points of reference, which means you test your intuition or you sense information and then you get immediate feedback. Was it correct or was it not correct? And after getting 2, 3, 4, 10, 100, 1,000, you go, now it's refined. I know the feeling. When I get this particular feeling, when I sense it just this way, that's my intuition. Yeah. But that other feeling is fear. And that other feeling is wishful thinking. So just from many points of reference. Now, in your story, I'm sure there was a moment, you don't have to tell us when, it could be personal, it's up to you if you want to say or not, where your intuition said to you, the situation ain't good for you. Same as I've had in my life many things. I was angry with myself, but my intuition told me that something was wrong. And I didn't listen to it way before I got myself into trouble. Way before I got into trouble in some very strange predicaments when I was traveling and backpacking at 18, compromised my safety. But my intuition told me, where you're going with this guy now isn't going to be safe. And I had some really unpleasant experiences. But my intuition did tell me, so you have intuition. Your intuition is absolutely amazing.
It wasn't always like that, Jay. I think walking in...
Well, maybe it was good intuition, but maybe you didn't trust it. Now you trust
Correct.
it. Yeah.
So I would say that. I wouldn't say that I was like, had this light bulb moment or, like a download or a little voice in my ear, which is fine. I mean, I was very young. I was very vulnerable.
But I'm saying any experience. If you don't want to speak about that one.
Yeah. In any experience, I've learned to harness my intuition through calmness and stillness, and I operate that way because I find that if I'm very calm, if I meditate more, and in that stillness, I get a download of information. It might be anything. It could be like 2 words or 3 words. I know that's my intuition. Like you said that we have, points of reference. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. For me, it's a different way. It's more when I'm in a calm and relaxed state, I access my intuition so easily.
So perhaps in a calm and relaxed state, you trust the intuition.
Possibly,
when we are not in a calm state, we don't know if it's our own fears or our own thoughts. Because intuition, for those who may not know, is guidance from a pure source. And intuition will never, ever, ever lead you wrong. Yeah. But that's true intuition. If you ever think your intuition led you wrong, you need to go back and work out what it was, because that wasn't intuition, either fear or wishful thinking. Mm-hmm. But intuition will never lead you wrong. So I think as part of the show, how to bounce back from self-rejection, one of them is to cultivate that intuition, learn to trust it. And one of the points is exactly what you said, cultivating calm and stillness.
By the way, trusting in your intuition and having faith, sometimes, this is how I see it, you got to take a particular journey and go through so many ups and downs and maybe sometimes a lot of heartaches, a lot of slaps in the face. Yeah. Your journey is not nice, it's pretty ugly or whatever it may be. But you've got to trust the journey, because I am in my life at the moment where I've really come to know myself, come to know who I am. What I really love about that is I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have found who I am if I didn't have the journey. And sometimes that journey really took me places that I didn't like. I I did spend a lot of my time on the lower vibration. Do you know what I mean? Not on the top vibration. So I had to go there to discover who I am.
But I can just tell you to your face and tell the people listening, when we trained the 2-day workshop, Love Yourself, Heal Your Life, I could not have a better person sitting right next to me in the program. Look at your face, than you, Nance. And I mean that.
It's very sweet of you.
Yeah, because your journey lets you sit with a whole room of people in that 2-day workshop where you can come with presence, with compassion for yourself, but for them, and come with an understanding heart. People are all over the place teaching things, but they don't have that one quality, which is an understanding heart. And because you've walked the journey of tough ups and downs, of difficult experiences, you've become the best teacher from your own experience, through your own experience.
Yeah.
So
That's part of trusting the journey. And in the moment when you're in the thick of it, it's very unattractive. It's not nice. You're hurt. You second guess yourself. You think it's you, it's not them, or whatever it may be. Or why am I here? Why am I put in this situation? I can't remember how many times I've said to myself, what is going on and why am I doing it? What is this going to teach me? So I can honestly say if you walk through the journey with just faith that it's meant to be, it does really lighten the load, and you have this sense of purpose, and you have this sense of, I know my place, I know what I'm meant to do, or I know where I'm meant to be.
beautiful.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to trust the journey. It's not pretty maybe now if you're in that situation yourself.
That's a trust the journey.
Yeah.
I'd even go so far as to say embrace the journey, even when it's ugly. Now, I want to talk about cultivating meaningful work. I can speak from my own experience. I was in corporate for 20 years and I gave it my best. I made the most of it wherever I was. However, I definitely wasn't in alignment with my own values. And it was getting further and further down the road, and I was still rejecting my own needs, and that's because I didn't love myself enough. I'll just say that. So I stayed in corporate, and you keep on working for whoever it is, them. You keep giving all of yourself to the organization or the career itself. If you do that for a long period of time, you start to hate yourself. There's no other way to describe it, because you are in a values conflict. I don't value this environment. It's out of alignment with my values. Sometimes corporations very often value profits above people, and they don't treat people correctly, and that's completely out of alignment with my values, because I do value people. And for me to just see retrenchments are nothing, and they don't even do it properly, they don't even handle it correctly, they're just so uncaring, and these are people's lives. And you can traumatize a person for decades from a bad retrenchment, and I think these things are very serious. So I was out of alignment, but I stayed there until my brother suddenly and tragically passed on. And when my younger brother died, he was only 21, and that crossroads made me think about what I was doing in my life and question so many things. And when it says how to bounce back from self-rejection, we don't even realize when we're in the wrong job that we're actually rejecting our true self, and we are pleasing some other thing, some other person, the organization, and you're putting your needs last. You will become depressed if you stay there for long, because what is depression? Depression is really a values conflict. So when I say cultivate meaningful work, it was only after my brother passed that I said, what am I really doing with my life? And the only question I had was, how can my life have more meaning? And I know, Nance, what you do here with me and the workshops that we run and the work, everything we do is meaningful. And this is why our lives are really so blessed, and we have a sense of peace and be in alignment with our own values. But for people listening, I just want to encourage you, if you're out of alignment with your workplace, please don't put yourself last. You need to do the 2-day workshop, Love Yourself, Heal Your Life. You need to read Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. You need to work on more and more self-love to the point that you really realize that leaving a job that's not right for you or an environment that's toxic is an act of extreme self-care.
Absolutely.
And you have to take it. And if you don't, that's one of the highest forms of self-rejection.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are just in positions because pays the bills.
What percentage of people don't like their jobs? I think it's 84.
I was going to say higher than that, actually.
I think it's 84.
Yeah.
It was a stat done, but even 84 is...
Well, I think all the gurus talk about it. Steve Jobs, he spoke about it. And he said, if you're not doing a job that you love, keep trying. Keep looking for what you love to do. And I think that is part of what you said, you know, you do reject yourself because you're not living on purpose. That's what I call it.
And
You're not fulfilled.
Correct. And you put yourself last, and that's rejecting yourself. Because if you put someone else in your life last,
Yeah.
they would feel a sense of rejection.
And I can't tell you how many times we've had people come in when they've done the Silver Method on day 4. When we do an exercise on day 4, very powerful exercise where we've had
Is it the connection to purpose?
yes, we have people cry. We've had some amazing insights come out of that exercise. And usually we do it just before the tea pause because people need to compose themselves and they want to talk about this information. This is connection to your intuition. So you're getting information in a very deep state
Yeah.
about your purpose. Like how many times we have people cry?
Oh. Yeah,
You know-
it's very cool. It's a breakthrough technique for me.
Right. And how powerful is that? So they've walked away from, one of them had, you got to leave the company.
Yeah, so I had someone, one of the questions, so basically you go into a meditative state, it's a guided meditation, and there's a lot of long pauses and deepening techniques to take you, we now in the awake state are in what we call the beta level of brainwave frequency. It's quite fast, let's say 20 to 30. If you relax or even close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, you then go into alpha. You're quite intuitive in alpha.
Yeah.
But if you relax even further than that, you go into what we call theta. And theta's brainwave frequency is very slow, it's 4 to 7. And in that, it's a passive inductive state where you can't visualize or have active mind. Information drops in and it's all from a higher source. And that's where we're at. And one of the questions is, what do I need to let go of? Another one is, what do I need to embrace? And what do I need to let go of? I had one student who wrote their spouse's name, and the person cried and cried and cried
Yeah.
because the thought of it was too heartbreaking. But intuitively, the person knew it was right. Someone else had the name of their company, just one word. They were terrified. They had long service. But intuitively, deep down, they knew it's time to go. So just before we wrap up the show, one of the other things to bounce back from self-rejection is cultivating laughter, song, and dance. Now, I want to just speak about you, if I may. She's really nervous. Look at that laugh. So, Nancy has been like, if a person could watch a plant that never had a flower actually bud a flower and then slowly open that flower and then you got a beautiful bloom flower. If you could watch it happen, like, you know, in these high-speed movies, it's quite something. But I watched that with you, Nance. And when I first met you, you were, I wouldn't say a very different person, but you were different in many ways.
How about I was closed?
Like the bud flower.
Right.
Right. And it was difficult for you to have fun, to cultivate laughter, song, and dance.
Can you tell them why?
All right, can I tell them the story?
No, can you just tell them why?
Because you felt guilt. Nancy felt guilty if she had fun. She felt guilty if she did anything for herself. She was so removed from herself, pouring from an empty cup to that person and her family and the other people and whoever, everybody else. But here's my cup. See, mine's empty. Her own cup was empty, the coffee. Nothing worse than an empty coffee cup. And it was difficult for you to have fun. And I can say, for those of you who've attended our 2-day workshop, Love Yourself, Live Your Life, you'll know we do a lot of fun things. And we play some great music and people dance and they sing. And you, in that scenario, are a completely different person to the person I met back in 2017.
Yeah.
So absolutely this is true. When we don't reject ourselves, accept ourselves, forgive ourselves, and love ourselves. What is the key?
Love yourself unconditionally, huh? It's not easy. Can I just say something? We're getting on the video podcast today, and the camera doesn't lie, right? You know, we're getting on in age. Well, I am anyway. And I'm going, oh, my hair, bit of grey hair happening. Haven't been to the hairdresser yet. And then I stopped myself and said,
What did you say? Give him the affirmation.
I love and approve of myself exactly as I am.
Again,
So I love and approve of myself exactly as I am.
And you know, we are suggested to do that in the mirror 100 times every single day. And all the days when you think, oh, I've got old skin neck here coming, or my butt's too big, or my wrinkles are too many. Yeah. That's the time to go to the mirror, look in your own eyes, and say, I love and accept you and your name, Janine, exactly as you are, again, 100 times.
And why we say exactly as you are, I mean, other than the obvious, is that Louise talks about how we've got lots of parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
And until we bring them together, we're not whole. We are born whole,
yeah,
okay, but we splinter. So we must grab those parts of ourselves, really embrace digging deep, finding those parts of yourselves. It could be as a child, as a teenager, as a, maybe you're in from a divorce, or maybe there's something really traumatic that happened to you, whatever it may be, and bring them together and try and piece them together to be whole again. Because when you're completely whole, you absolutely are so powerful as a human being. When you embrace every part of yourself, you really are powerful.
And I may even go further to say, and when you're a woman and you learn to love yourself and find your authentic voice and speak up and stop people pleasing. You spoke about it this morning in the post that you wrote on. You called it the divine feminine.
Yeah, the divine feminine is awakening. And I have to admit, men are realizing our power. We were in a time and presence in a long time ago, women were revered, and the wisdom that came out of women, kings used to seek it,
Absolutely. So this is the journey, and this is why we're here. And just to say to anyone who's listening, if you haven't done Love Yourself, Heal Your Life Today workshop, I give you my personal guarantee, hand on heart, it will change your life. It changed yours, it changed mine, it changed your Nancy. Yeah. So it will change your life. It's the best thing. The solution to every problem
is only one thing. Love yourself unconditionally.
That's it from us. We're going to wrap up the show, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you next time on the Coaching Corner.
Got a good day coming, and it's all I need. Everything I wanted is in front